Coronation Street teases that Aadi's best intentions may lead him down a path of heartbreaking revelations. The sun shone brilliantly over Weatherfield on the morning of Dev and Bernie Winter's wedding, casting long shadows across the cobbled streets of Coronation Street. The entire community buzzed with excitement as preparations for the ceremony reached fever pitch. Garlands of flowers draped themselves across doorways, while tables laden with ribbon-tied cutlery and fine china lined the gardens where friends and family would soon gather. For Dev and Bernie, this day was meant to be the culmination of years spent overcoming loss, rediscovering joy, and forging an unbreakable bond. But amid the laughter and the clinking of champagne glasses, one young man wrestled with a secret that threatened to mar the perfect facade of celebration. Aadi had arrived early, offering to help set out sweet treats and adjust the seating plan to accommodate extra guests. He moved with practiced ease, his graceful laugh and ready smile masking a heart heavy with anxiety. He had promised Lauren he would keep his past mishap with the LSD-laced cup entirely to himself, certain that any admission would shatter the fragile trust between them. Yet, as he positioned a vase of roses on the buffet table, his hands refused to still, trembling with the weight of his guilt. When the guests began to arrive, swirling in their finest attire, Aadi greeted each with effusive warmth. He watched Dev's eyes, reddened by nerves, soften as Bernie swept into view, her satin gown trailing behind her like a wave of purity. The couple met at the aisle, hands clasped so tightly that veins stood out on Dev's knuckles. For a moment, the world narrowed to that small garden, to the vows they would soon exchange. Then a hush fell as Bernie's father offered her arm, and she took it, glancing back at Dev with a tearful smile that spoke volumes. Aadi felt joy rise in his chest, simultaneous with a gnawing fear that his own confession would bring tears of a very different kind. As the ceremony unfolded, Aadi's confession remained locked behind clenched teeth. When guests clapped and cheered at the pronouncement of husband and wife, he managed a hearty congratulations. But inside, his conscience screamed. The music swelled, trumpets heralding the couple's exit down the petal-strewn path, and Aadi retreated momentarily to the shade of Victoria Garden. There, amid the rustle of leaves and the hum of bees, he found an empty bench. He sank onto it, sliding his hands into his hair as the full weight of his deception crashed over him. Lauren's voice echoed in his mind. "I love you because you are honest." And the memory of her radiant smile, when she believed his every word, tortured him. He pulled his jacket tighter against the late spring chill, though sweat beaded on his forehead. Beside him, an unattended bottle of whiskey, meant for the garden's temporary bar later, beckoned with its promise of oblivion. Before he knew it, the amber liquid was pressed to his lips. One swallow led quickly to another, and soon, the bench trembled beneath him as he sank deeper into intoxication. He ignored the buzzing of his phone in his pocket, Lauren's missed calls blinking insistently on the screen. He told himself they could wait. He needed time, space to steel his nerves for the truth. By the time Gary arrived, Aadi was swaying as though the ground itself had turned liquid. Gary placed a firm hand on his shoulder and said, in a low voice, "Mate, you all right?" Aadi's head lolled back, and he focused on Gary's concerned expression. "I'm fine," he slurred, but the lie sounded hollow even to his own ears. Gary wasn't fooled. He led Aadi gently by the arm toward the exit of the garden, brushing aside a cluster of onlookers who whispered, "Is he drunk?" Stepping onto the path, Aadi's foot caught a raised stone. Time slowed as he pitched forward. With a gasp, he reached out to break his fall, but his fingers found only thin air. His head struck the cobblestones with a sickening crack. The world spun, pain flared behind his eye. He tasted coppered blood as he crawled briefly before Gary's strong arms scooped him up. "Easy, mate," Gary murmured, carrying him back through the garden gates. Bernie, seeing them pass, rushed forward. Her gasp turned to relief as she recognized Aadi. You poor thing, she exclaimed. Let me help. Together they settled him on a folding chair beneath an awning, gentle hands nobbling at his shirt collar. Gary dialed a medic friend on his phone, but when they examined the scratch, shallow, bleeding but not deep, the verdict was a few stitches at most. No hospital, I swear, Aadi insisted once he'd been cleaned up and his gash patched. Gary sighed, ruffling his hair. You're a stubborn sod. But at least you're all right. Aadi managed a lopsided grin, though his head pounded with more than just the fall. Thanks, he whispered. Released back into the chaos of congratulatory hugs and free-flowing prosecco, Aadi caught Lauren watching him from across the lawn. His heart lurched. She wore a pale pink dress, her hair pinned into loose waves, laughter dancing in her eyes as she chatted with Carla. With each step he took toward her, his chest felt tighter. He could pretend no more. He found her near a cluster of lanterns, chatting quietly. Lauren, he began, voice cracking. She turned, concern flickering across her features. He swallowed. The nodding crowd and the strains of wedding music faded as he continued. I need to tell you something. Her brow furrowed. He took a breath deeper than he knew he could. At the party last night, there was something in my drink. I didn't know until too late. It was LSD. Her eyes widened so sharply they seemed to glow. What? She whispered, stepping back. Aadi's heart shattered at the distance in her gaze. I'm so sorry, he pleaded. I lied. I was scared if you knew, you'd hate me, that you'd walk away. But I can't keep lying. Lauren covered her mouth, shock and hurt battling on her face. You knew, she said finally, voice quivering. You knew and you didn't tell me. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I thought I could fix it, but I only made it worse. Lauren's breathing hitched, she shook her head. I need space. And with that, she turned and walked back toward a relieved-looking Carla. Alone, Aadi sank to the grass, grief coiling around him. The music and laughter felt cruel now. Each note reminded him of his betrayal. Moments later, Lauren approached Carla in a corner of the garden, voice low and shaken. He lied to me, Lauren murmured. He lied about something so serious. Carla placed an arm around her shoulders. You have every right to be upset, she said gently. But remember, Lauren. He's the first person you've trusted since Joel. This is a huge step for you. You decide when you're ready. Lauren nodded slowly, tears falling unbidden. I don't want to be pulled back into the past. Carla squeezed her hand. Take your time. If you can forgive him, then you'll know. If not, you'll know that, too. Lauren exhaled, wiping her cheeks. I'm too tired to tell Lisa, she admitted. She's already had so much to carry with Becky's mistakes. Carla nodded in understanding. This is yours and Aadi's to sort. You decide when and how to share. Meanwhile, Aadi, still trembling on the grass, summoned the courage to face another reckoning. He found Dev and Bernie near the punch bowl, their faces bright with wedding bliss. He approached, voice small. Can I speak to you both? He asked. Dev's face, lined with fatherly pride, shifted to concern. What's wrong, lad? Bernie stepped forward, offering a tissue. Aadi swallowed. He laid out every detail. The unwanted substance, his fear of losing Lauren, the ensuing accident. Dev's face drained of color. For a moment, Aadi feared the worst, expulsion from their home, a father's wrath. Instead, Dev's jaw clenched, eyes flashing. You put yourself in danger, and you lied about it, he said, voice strained. What if something worse had happened? Bernie placed a hand to her mouth, startled, then reached to steady the younger man. Dev, he's sorry, she murmured, looking at Aadi with pity tinged by disappointment. But this could have been fatal. Aadi lowered his gaze, cheeks burning. I know. I'm so sorry. Dev let out a breath, pinching the bridge of his nose. You need to take responsibility. No more secrets. Bernie nodded, tears brimming. We love you, Aadi. But you must learn from this, before you lose Lauren for good. Alone again amid the celebration, Aadi's heart felt as though it might shatter. He thought of Lauren's betrayal in her eyes, Dev's searing disappointment, Bernie's trembling voice. The world, once brimming with promise, had narrowed to two choices: confess everything or lose everything. As twilight settled over Coronation Street, and the wedding party drifted indoors for dancing, a hush fell over the garden. Guests strolled beneath fairy lights, the scent of roses lingering in the warm air. Aadi watched from the shadows as Lauren sat with Carla, talking in quiet tones, her silhouette softened by the lantern glow. Could he bridge this chasm with truth alone? Was honesty enough to heal the wounds his fear had inflicted? In the weeks that followed, Coronation Street rallied around Aadi and Lauren. Therapy sessions continued, the journal became a nightly ritual. Dev and Bernie hosted dinner parties again, and the children laughed in the garden, joy reclaimed. Carla and Gary visited often, their bond with the couple strengthened. Lisa, finally brought in on the full story, enveloped Lauren in sisterly support, helping her face past traumas and redefining her strength. Yet as the final crumbs are swept from the pavement after the community's Harvest Festival Gala, the street holds its breath. Will Aadi's heart fully mend from the blows it took? Can Lauren learn to trust without fear? And what new surprises might tomorrow bring? On Coronation Street, hope and uncertainty walk hand in hand, and every ending is simply the beginning of the next story.